This upcoming episode of Sam Robinson is going to be fun. Sam is one of the few people I know in the industry who come from our industry, have success in the industry at a very, very early young age, and then decide, you know what, I am now going to go build AI tools from everything I have learned to better our industry. So Sam is telling us about his new product, his new innovation, and I am excited to bring it to you. Enjoy. Hi, welcome to this episode of Founder's Journey. And today we have Sam Robinson with us. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to have you on. And our mutual friend Alex introduced us. And, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool introduction. And you are working on something pretty cool over there. And I really want you to come on the podcast and tell our audience about it. But before we talk about Chief Go, I love for you to just go back and talk about your own personal journey from, this path that you've been on entrepreneurship. So if you can, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and we'd love to hear about your story.
Yeah. So our story is a little different, or at least my story is. So I came from a family accountant family. We were more number crunchers as we were growing up, always tightening the belt. My journey was a little bit different. I decided to branch off as I was growing up. I did take the financial advisory route, but it wasn't until my dad passed away unexpectedly in 2015 where I realized that insurance was a huge part on actually. My dad canceled his insurance policy so this was in May of 2015, and he passed in September of 2015, a $500,000 policy. And so it left my family crippled as far as from a financial aspect. And so that really got my attention from insurance, but also from a planning standpoint. Entrepreneurship always interested me, and I built a number of different things. I had worked in building a marketing company. I had a social media one before that. And then I wanted to build my own financial advisory practice once this issue happened to me. And I remember getting back home in 2015. After all this happened, I basically emptied my bank account out to help my mom. And I get back to Charlotte, North Carolina here, and I look at my bank account and I look at the financial ruin that it left both my mom and I in, and realize that there is a better way to go about doing things. And my dad tried to plan his own finances, and getting outside help was not always his way that he wanted to go about doing things. So the question really became how can I best help families or best help other financial advisors do the things that they really need to do, and so these families are not having these bad outcomes. And so that policy that my dad canceled, the insurance agent didn't say anything. He just let him cancel it, didn't have much of a conversation, and my dad just canceled it to try to get some of the money back. So what I'm doing today is helping those insurance agents, helping those financial advisors, and those that are planning for those families have a better practice. So we developed an AI that will help those financial advisors whittle all of their options and how they want to grow their business down to 5 steps. So that way there's clarity. Our worst result to date is a 98.2% annual reoccurring income or annual reoccurring revenue increase for those advisory practices. So whether it be financial firms, financial advisors, insurance agents, we look at their business from a business standpoint versus a client versus a client standpoint. They may be looking at, hey, how many meetings am I keeping? They might be keeping their track of their sales pipeline, but very often do I find, very rarely do I find that these agents are really looking at their business from a business standpoint. And so I realized that after I had talked to and worked with about 53 other financial advisors, that they were making financial decisions instead of business decisions.
Can you give our audience a little bit background on Ball before you start building this company? Just your financial history, right? Your own
Yeah.
career in the financial life, and then go into a little bit more depth of like what problem are you guys solving today that you saw was like, I need to go build this company and then use the AI tool for it.
Yeah. So financial background. So I got started at the age of 17. Literally made my first options trade with my dad looking over my shoulder. So I did options trading, read the Series 7 book, and started with that whole journey before I even turned 18. Started with Edward Jones back in 2012. Ended up working for Aon, and part of their Hewitt Associates group. That eventually split off and became Alight Solutions. I worked with the advisory platform, so I had a lot of financial advisors and a lot of financial questions, as I was the point person here in Charlotte, North Carolina for that. We had, I think it was over 1.4 million users that were getting financial advice annually. And so a little bit of my background was just making sure that the right financial advice was given for everybody, that things were clear for all types of audiences, that advisors were giving, in fact, having the right types of conversations. And then I left there for Northwestern Mutual. So I worked with Northwestern Mutual for a couple of years and had a number of different roles in working with and up into an ensemble, a larger advisory practice with a number of financial advisors, and then left that to rebuild a planning practice that supported 40, I want to say it was 48 financial advisors. And when I left that, it was 53 advisors. So there was a number of advisors and a lot of different conversations that we've had, all the way from portfolio management, or tell me about this very specific question within an annuity, or all the way to, hey, what's a portfolio, and how do we get this mutual fund, and what do I pick? So lots of different types of questions, and scaling businesses to hiring people, and to designing the right plans.
And what was your first real world problem that gave you the idea to your business launch?
I had a friend that was at Northwestern Mutual, and we did a case study internally. So we looked at his practice. He had an assistant, and so he made an investment assistant. The assistant was working great. Then there was some misalignment with that assistant, and then he let that person go and said he just wasn't going to use an assistant. And then he didn't realize the business decision he made for the financial decision that he thought he was making. So what I mean by that is he decided to cut a $45,000 salary just to save that money so he could use that on his business, because he was a solo advisor. And then what ended up happening is that he went back a full year in his business. He lost clients, he lost revenue. And so it became this interesting business case that we wanted to look at both insurance and operations within his business, and creating something that would benefit him. And so therefore, at that point, became a fractional model. So we looked at basically a fractional operating or insurance and operations model within Northwestern Mutual, and doing that. At the time of going through that case study, I actually, with my current now business partner, Kyle, we decided that, hey, I think we do want to start a business. And I said, I've been collecting information on how to do things within a bunch of different types of environments. And I took all that information that was really truly important to a business and decided I was going to use that for what we're going to do with chief go officers. So I took that fractional model, I looked at it from that case study, realized after I had about 15 or 16 other conversations with other advisors that they were also struggling in a number of these same areas this advisor did. He was selling mostly insurance, but he also had a wealth management practice as well. And we decided, what would it look like if we helped those advisors or these type of firms that would have like 3, 4, 8, 10 advisors or agents under their umbrella, and what would it look like, and how would we best help them grow? And so we set out, and that was in 2022. And in 2023, we filed our business. And in 2023, I left Northwestern Mutual to start this full time. We then took that and we said, the answers that these people are asking for are going to take 100 hours. And so I had a bunch of different other backgrounds that I haven't mentioned yet, but one of which is I had a hobby, and it was coding. So my hobby was to literally sit there and fix whatever was broken from a technology perspective. Always enjoyed doing it. Didn't think that hobby would ever become what we're a staple of what we're doing today. And so we took AI, I blended this data. I looked at and basically curated a list of a couple thousand things that could actually happen in an advisory practice or insurance practice or a firm. And then from that, I was able to develop a model that would consolidate everything into the next 5 things they needed to do to become most productive and profitable. So data aggregation is a big thing. The question is how do you handle it? So I haven't seen a lot of people be able to do anything close to what we're doing as of yet. The closest was by Capital Group, and they were doing maybe about 1/6 of what we even accomplished.
So when you say AI, everybody scream AI these days, right? Would you go into the sauce a little bit about what makes yours is different? Thank you for all your support to our channel. Here is a quick word from our sponsor. Please click on the link below in the comment section to sign up for a demo with Track AI.
What if your insurance sales conversations could work harder for you? Meet Track, your AI-powered conversation intelligence partner. Track automatically captures and analyzes every customer interaction, providing instant call summaries, risk analysis, and AI-driven coaching insights. Say goodbye to manual note-taking and hello to more selling time. Track handles the admin work while you handle the revenue. Fully integrated with your favorite platforms. Plus, get custom AI analysis tailored to your unique business needs. Transform your sales team's performance with Track. Visit track.ai today.
Click the link in the description below to schedule a demo with Track today.
Most people, when they think of AI, they think of some sort of chat bot, right? It's like, I type it in, it gives me an answer. Great. Okay, well, maybe I didn't provide enough context, or maybe I did provide enough context, or maybe I just toss a book or two that I like into the AI, and that does the job. We have in our AI over 4,000 years of experience consolidated into this model. And then on top, and that's of financial advisory experience, that's of business building experience, that's of looking at things from a compliance or technology people standpoint or sales standpoint. And so what we did is we divided the entire practice, consolidated it into a model, which is in and of its own. So it's not like OpenAI, it's not Grok, it's not all these other different models. It's literally something that we built. It's not you can't get it on the internet. And what it does is it takes a number of different things from both like an autonomy standpoint, a data standpoint, a large language model, and what's called a RAG. So it's a retrieval. So it blends those pieces together into a coherent plan, just like you and I would. So if you were talking with another agent, and that agent says, "Man, I really struggled to hit my numbers this week," well, you're probably gonna ask questions, right? So those questions might be, "Well, did you make your dials?" "Yes, I made my dials." "Okay, well, of those people that you called, were they qualified prospects?" "No, they weren't qualified prospects." "Okay, there's one of our problems. We're not prospecting appropriately." So that those kind of things will come up in the report of, "Hey, we don't have the right prospects or the ideal clients," but that's just one of 1,000 different things that could actually happen. So what this model does is it goes through the full list of everything from the data that we gather and consolidates it down to the 5 things they need to do. To answer your question, one of the clients we worked with basically said it was everything I was thinking about, but I couldn't seem to get out onto a piece of paper. What happens is there's just a lack of clarity in the amount of time required by these other consultancies or agents that these people will hire. Takes about 100 hours. This takes about 3.5 hours, and it's about twice as powerful to 100 times more powerful, depending on how you use it and want to use this.
How do you guys grow your AI business? What's the next
How do
step
we?
to grow? Yeah, like what stage are
Yeah,
you guys right now? Are you guys we can talk maybe like capital raise stage, but what stage is your company at today? And because your company is less than 2 years old, right?
correct. So here's the thing. So we're a faith-based company. And one thing that I've realized in a number of faith-based companies out there is that if you capital raise, oftentimes once you have capital raised, there is you have the interest of the person that has provided the capital, and then you have the interest of your clients. And so the question then becomes, who should you serve? And so what happens is then the clients that are really more important end up becoming less important based on the person that gave you the money, because the money talks. And so what we decided to do, instead of doing capital raising for what we had, we decided we were going to bootstrap. And so from an ethical standpoint, we wanted to be able to serve our clients at a higher standard than who we would capital raise with. So I had some assets that I knew that I knew we were going to need startup funds. My partner had a sales background and a few platforms so he could sell some stuff. So I took my own assets, handed it to him, and our agreement was based on the sales he would get, we would start our business. And so we actually bootstrapped it from our own capital.
How many people is in the company today?
So as of today, we're at 8 people. So we have, and then just so you know, most of our stuff is technology driven. So we're literally running at operation of like a little bit over like 60 or 70 people. So for instance, one thing that our AI does is puts together our entire project management plan. So if someone wants to start a project with us and they've selected the services, it will literally put together an entire project management plan. So then I'm cutting out tons and tons and tons of hours from our model. So we've got 8, but we're really functioning at about 60 to 70 people where we're at right now. But it's been growing quickly. We have about 250% increase in size and clientele since the beginning of this year.
Who are your ideal customers?
Great question. So who are my ideal customers? So they are firms. So they would probably have somewhere right around 5 to 15 agents. Now, to be
Which
clear,
type of firm? What type of firm are you looking for?
yeah. So Me personally, I work with a lot of RIAs and CPA firms. However, I have worked with other insurance agencies too. Those are a little bit smaller than some of the RIAs I have worked with. So they may have like about 4 or 5 agents, but we work all the way up. So I think of a business in 5 different stages. We work with the first 4. So stage 1, and I'll actually send a graphic if you'd like to put it up. Stage 1 is a solo practice. Stage 2 is like a teaming practice. Then stage 3 is more of this like like enterprise model, and then or ensemble model rather, and then really enterprise is once you get into things like leadership, and that's stage 4 leadership, and you look through the rhythm and the operation. So we're personally right now at a stage 2.5, somewhere right in the middle between becoming a larger ensemble or a larger, much larger practice versus a teaming practice. So that's where we're at right now.
What do you think is like the number one common results from day 1 to day 14 when somebody starts to work with you guys? What's their common feedback on your company?
So time of communication, we try to make sure that's within like the first 30 minutes. So if we're trying to work on something, we're showing results probably within the next 24 to 48 hours already. So one particular client, we were going through they had some big technology issues. And so they wanted a list. So we went through and we already had that list within 48 hours, fully vetted. Another one, they needed a competitive analysis. They were trying to make sure that a lot of their positioning was appropriate between and their agency. So we had that ready within 24 hours, literally next day. So depending on what you're hiring us for, what we're trying to do is develop a long-term relationship, but we do try to make sure and reinforce that decisions are actually right when you go with us. Most of these people that we're working with are looking for long-term results versus short-term results. So if there is a reason, within the next, 24 hours that they really need something, I'm going to set those expectations, or someone on our team will be setting those expectations. But most of our projects can span between 24 hours to 16 weeks, depending on what they really need.
I often like to ask founders goals, right? If you come back on the podcast 12 months from now,
12 months from now,
12 months from now, what are some comfortable and uncomfortable goals you have for yourself when we meet 12 months from now?
So comfortably, so everyone wants to talk about revenue and income. I'm thinking more in terms of clients or people that I really truly want to help. So our average client is probably lifetime, or not necessarily lifetime, per year spending somewhere in the neighborhood of about $40,000 to $80,000 with us, and they're getting easily 5 to 8 times that revenue over a longer tail. So as far as I'm concerned, I would say, I think our last time that we looked at our goal for the year, we were looking at another 12 clients we're going to bring on. We're at 9 as of right now, and we're about to go into the fourth quarter. So we're already on track there. Next year, based on where we're at, we're going to be doubling that. And the reason is this last year and this year was foundation laying. So 2023, we laid the foundation, and it took me an entire year to build our platform, our AI, so that way it was going to be consistent. So once we launched, most of what we did was foundation building in 2024. So as far as I'm concerned, we're going to be looking at anywhere between somewhere right around the reach point, so 30 clients. So I'm thinking, in terms of firms versus individuals.
I'm going to put all of your contact in the comment below, your LinkedIn, your email, how to reach the company websites. Are you guys currently in the stage of raising since you are bootstrapping now?
So are we in the stage of fundraising?
Yeah, fundraising. If somebody listen to this, if venture capital guys listen to this, should they be reaching out to you?
So that's a great question. So as far as what we have right now, I mentioned the clientele and where we're headed. I would love to talk about our vision at some point. So I do talk, just in full transparency, I do talk to people that are fundraising. So if they did want to reach out to me and say, hey, do you know anyone that's good? So like a fully vetted firm that is either in the middle of fundraising or needs money. I have a lot of those conversations with people. So I've literally got one that's fundraising now. They're working with the likes of like Michael Kitz's and Carl Richards, if you know that name, in the advisory space, and like the likes of LPL. So I do have a lot of those types of contacts or conversations. So if someone is in venture capital and they are looking to get in touch with those kind of people, I do have access to them, and I'm having regular conversations. As far as our firm, no, we're not raising capital. We're literally profitable within 12 months where we're at. Now I am increasing and investing our actual profit margins back into the business. So we're investing somewhere about 10 to 15% of our profit margins back into our business as they come in.
That's incredible. You guys, well, there's two things I find fun from this conversation. You are a financial guy at the age of 18, getting all these security licenses in the financial world, and you happen to like coding. Like, the people in the financial world don't usually like coding. That's like never go together, and you're that guy. And the second thing I find super interesting is everybody who played in the AI world raised a ton of capital because they just expect to burn, and you guys are cash flow positive. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'll mention two things I don't know how much time we have. Quick little story. So about the coding, I never expected to ever get into coding. There was one day I was on the trading desk. And so I've got people calling and saying, hey, I want to buy Apple. Hey, I want to sell Apple. Tell me about, and this was actually during the time of Nintendo stock was taking off. And so people were calling me asking about Nintendo, NTDY. And long story short, while I was on the trading desk, my computer shut down. It had a blue screen of death. And basically what happened, I was taking these trading calls, and I had to go to someone else's computer to make sure that and log in with my credentials to place the trades for them, while my computer was messed up and I had a ticket in. And so what basically I found out was that my computer had too many applications up, and they wouldn't upgrade my computer. And so it would just overload, and there's nothing I could do about it. And so when it happened, best of luck, and all of your statistics and SLAs were blown to bits. And so I took it on myself to write Python code. I literally Googled, I said, what's the top coding languages? And so I took it on myself to fix the problem so I wouldn't have any more issues. And so I wrote Python code on my computer, so that way it would close programs that I did need and that hadn't been in for a while down, so I wouldn't mess up my trading desk. So I started my coding journey in doing that. And then the second story, well, actually, you can ask me questions about that, but that's I don't hear many advisors or people on trading desks doing such things.
You might be the first one I ever come across that end up, building a coding career or building companies on their own coding. So it's pretty cool.
So So the other one you said about LLM and burn rate. So without giving any proprietary secrets away, what I will say is that there are large language models that are open source, and the way in which they work is a little antiquated. And so I have a very specific process that some of these researchers are starting to uncover, is basically a reiterative system. So I've got somewhere near about 30 layers of how this information goes through and comes back to get the answers. So think of it like this, you might ask a certain amount of questions about a business, and then you work the information through, then you have another conversation, then you write more information down about your business. And so how we basically we actually cut our cost down to 0.23% of the actual AI cost out there. And so what we did is essentially we took and made it a reiterative process on a 0.5 terabyte model. So there's all these billion parameter models that are out there, and there's that work. But the problem is that people aren't thinking in terms of how the human brain works and how people actually do their work on a day-to-day. So I developed a model that would be able to do things the way a consultant or a person that would be in business consulting would actually do their work.
Wow. I'm gonna have you guys on a year from now. Maybe we'll bring Kyle come on as well. You guys come on together and talk about your next journey in the next 12 months.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I love it. It's something new every day.
Well, there's a destination and there's a journey. So you guys are at the beginning of this journey, and I'm glad I got to catch you on this time right now. So I can't wait to see where you guys are 12 months from now. Alex, my buddy speaks so highly of you, and the next time I'm in town, I'm definitely want to get together, grab coffee, grab beer. Are you in Charlotte or are you on the Raleigh side?
So I'm on the Charlotte side. So
Okay.
I'm in Charlotte. My business partner is actually in St. Louis, Missouri. So we have a fully remote culture.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on the pod today. And I'll put all of Sam's information in the comment link below. And pleasure meeting you, Sam. Make sure everybody go on the link and connect with Sam. And looking forward to what you guys building in the next year.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.